Hello and welcome to Side B, and our book club style podcast where each month we take a book, movie, show, game, or other kind of media and talk about it with help from you, the community. The one rule for anything we talk about here is it must be of Monsters and Mechs. This month's episode is about Pacific Rim and Pacific Rim Uprising, movies that are love letters to all things kaiju, mecha, and anime, so goddamn perfect for our show. And with us today we have myself, Billy, as host, our co-host, Seth, and for this episode, to share the neural load, we have our two drift-compatible special guests. New to the show, Steven, Defender of the Coast Coaster, and returning guest, Jaeger Fitzgerald. Woo!
That's us. Hey.
I was really hyped.
Alright, so Seth. No, Steven, you first. Intro yourself, if people never heard you. If they're only listening to Oh Ma'am.
Alright, well, I love Pacific Rim, and I love mechs, and I love monsters, and
There we
that's pretty much me.
Well, there we go.
That checks out.
And then Hunter, same for you, because
Oh,
you're in
man.
each other's minds. Okay.
Almost verbatim.
Yep.
It's weird.
Alright, and Seth,
Just
you ever seen Pacific Rim before?
no,
Besides doing this?
no. That's gonna be a theme for most shows we do.
What a
Yeah,
shame.
well, I mean, that's the point. That's your bit.
That's my
in here.
role.
Yeah.
The guy that doesn't watch this stuff, and then I'm here.
Yeah. And then, I've seen, this is the first time I've seen Pacific Rim Uprising, but I saw the first one. Day it came out? Yeah. Made a whole big special thing. Went
I
to
remember
another
hearing
town.
about that.
Yep.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty fun. Tim got yelled at by a lot of people while we were driving to another city.
Because he's
It's-
awful at
Yep.
driving.
Yeah, I was about to
Uh-huh.
say, I'm assuming it's because he's a bad driver.
Alright, so we'll just jump into Pacific Rim 1.
I wish
boy.
we could.
That'd be cool.
Oh
That'd be
shit!
nice,
If
yeah.
we could skidoo into what else would it be? What's the proper verb for it? Yeah, that's right, skidoo.
I don't think Blue
Look,
Skidoo,
if
we
I
can too. That's what it says.
Alright, Pacific Rim. Set in the future when Earth is at war with the kaiju, colossal sea monsters which have emerged from an interdimensional portal on the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. To combat these monsters, humanity unites to create the Jaegers, gigantic humanoid mechas, each controlled by at least two pilots whose minds are joined by a mental link. Focusing on the war's later days, the story follows Raleigh Beckett, a washed-up Jaeger pilot, called out of retirement and teamed up with rookie pilot Mako Mori as part of a last-ditch effort to defeat the kaiju.
That is correct.
That just
Yeah,
makes
I
me
mean-
smile. I love this movie so much.
From Wikipedia. That's where
Thanks,
that was from.
Wikipedia.
Yep.
You're always there for us.
Alright. Steven, what are your general thoughts on Pacific Rim 1?
All right, so as I said before the show started, I have a lot of feelings about Pacific Rim.
Mhm.
I have big grande feeling. A lot of people said a lot of shitty things about Pacific Rim when it came out.
Did they?
Yeah. They did.
Okay.
And they were stupid. They're
I
dumb
mean-
and bad. Look, it's not a perfect movie, all right? This is going to be a recurring theme for me throughout
Right.
this discussion. I am by no means saying it is a perfect, flawless movie. There's definitely problems with it. Specifically, a lot of the dialogue writing is just terrible.
How dare you?
But the
It is
overall
completely intentional.
the overall feeling of the movie is just like it's a nice sci-fi instant classic. It's just giant monsters, giant robots, and saving the world, and I love it, start to finish.
Okay, solid.
Those are my feelings. Some of my feelings.
Yeah. I mean, Hunter, Seth.
So my thoughts, as a fan of Power Rangers and like giant monsters fighting giant robots, it was really cool to see it like in CGI and not somebody in a cardboard costume. So the CGI effects were amazing.
Okay, hand emoji.
And it's really like I basically just watched it for the CGI. Big monsters fighting big mechs.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
About the whatever guys in suits that you're
Yeah.
talking about. Knifehead, the first kaiju to appear in the film, is a tribute to plotting kaiju of 1960s Japanese films and was intended to look almost like a man in a rubber suit. And then another one is when they were designing all of the kaiju, they wanted it to be, if they not needed to, but the idea that there might be a guy in that suit. Like, they were all designed as if they were suits.
Mm-hmm.
The water one looks kind of like a long
Yeah.
crocodile.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that one fits well
No.
with that in mind.
I mean,
Just put Michael Phelps in it.
There you
Checks
go.
out.
sure, yep.
Gotta hire
There we
Michael
go.
Phelps. All right, so I'm gonna just jump in, and then my thing on it.
Mhm.
It's really enjoyable to watch if you ignore logic. Like, there's so many
Oh.
points where it's like, this makes no sense, but
What
it
do you
looks
mean?
cool.
There
first-
are
the first one or
definitely
the second one?
inconsistencies.
Both.
Okay,
Both.
gotcha.
Like, how the hell is giant robots the answer that you came up with? For
Well,
there's
because
other
Wall
answers.
wasn't effective.
Wall
Well, they
wasn't
hadn't tried a
effective?
full wall yet.
The-
The wall came after the robots, and it also didn't work.
they tried military, and military didn't work.
They could have tried
Look,
better military.
It took
What?
them. It
What do
took
you-
them 6 days and 3 destroyed cities to stop the first kaiju.
Yeah,
yeah,
with like the whole world's military.
Also, that's one of the things
That's
I was
also not-
thinking of, like,
I don't.
obviously,
Yeah.
obviously you don't want to throw nukes around ever, but, like,
Well, speak
Watching
for
it-
yourself.
watching it again, and they were like, oh, it took 3 days to take down this giant monster.
At
I
that
think-
point, you find an open spot where it's just walking.
Yeah, I think
through.
day one, you're like, sorry, Japan, you're gone.
Okay, to be fair though, we don't know the exact path the first kaiju took,
Mhm.
but we know it made landfall in San Francisco, and in some way, shape, or form was making its way inland.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So all they said was 6 days and 3 cities. So we don't know exactly how far it got. But given that that area of California is pretty heavily populated,
Mhm.
even with a giant monster literally rampaging through the town, there would still have been a lot of living civilians in that area.
I mean, yeah, but
Now,
like,
if it had like landed in the middle of Wisconsin, just nuke it. Just
Okay.
call it
Yeah.
a day.
Uh-huh.
But
Yeah,
there-
fuck Wisconsin.
it was a huge, major metropolitan area. You can't just throw nuke.
You'd also probably
Even
build,
nearby.
like, as opposed to building giant robots, you could build giant missiles that aren't nuke, right?
No.
That's
Every
what-
kaiju's different.
is
They need
that
to be
not
able to
the end
react
of
on the fly.
fucking Second movie, a giant missile that's not a nuke.
They don't shoot the kaiju with it though.
No.
They
It's a
just
giant missile that's not a
the
nuke.
giant missile just takes the Jaeger to where it wants to go.
Exactly.
yeah.
No. The Jaeger is now an effective missile. It's just dropping from it. They dropped a skyscraper essentially from a really far
Even-
distance.
that's the second movie.
Similar
That's the
to
second movie.
All right, but
We're talking
it's
about
been
the first.
proven canonically that it works. Why is that not the answer from the get-go?
Because you would still have to
Because
build.
they're freaking out because there's a giant fucking alien.
You'd have
thing.
to build a skyscraper with rocket thrusters. How is that more viable
and then
than a
aim it.
giant robot?
Also,
And
yeah,
aim
it
it.
took them whatever. By the time Uprising happens, it's
Uh-huh.
like 30 years after
No.
the very first.
10.
Good try though.
It's 10.
Like
Uprising
20,
is 10.
isn't it?
It's
'Cause
10
there's
years
a good
after the
amount of
end
time
of
in
the
the first.
war,
Mm.
and I believe the war lasted 6 or 7 years.
Okay, so 17.
Okay.
We'll say 17 because that's closer to my 20 guess.
All right, we'll give it to him.
But, yeah, by that point, however long it was, a long ass time,
Uh-huh.
that was finally when they discovered possibly a material strong enough to push something that big.
Sure, but it could have been slightly smaller and had an explosion.
No.
Right? Like, you
I
can't
don't
say
know if
the
they want
damage to the city.
explosions there. Because
Also, I should
weapons
point out-
were their weapons in the first one. They specifically made them all blunt weapons so that they weren't slicing the kaiju and getting blood everywhere.
Mhm.
I don't know.
The,
It's just
the
like
kaiju blue factor.
Okay, but, like, the amount of damage they were doing to the city anyways, I don't know that an explosion is a bad idea.
also who the fuck cares? It's a giant robot.
Anyway,
That-
and
like
as I
you
was
were
saying,
saying.
I'm going to point out that
Yeah.
even though we're not there yet, at the end of Pacific Rim Uprising,
Uh-huh.
the final kaiju had already been injured. At least one of its brains had been taken out already.
Sure.
So
And they
even though they dropped a however many 100-ton metal thing from the sky,
Uh-huh.
it still was already injured, and
But
it
it
took
was-
that to take it out.
It was a combination of 3 high-class kaijus. Like, 4 was... a 5 was as big as it got in the end of it, and there were, like, 2 4s and a 5 at the end.
That's
Yes.
a 13.
And
That's
two.
a cat
Yeah.
13.
I don't know about that.
So yeah, like dropping a really heavy thing on like a combination of 3 of the good ones. If that works, like what's a shit one? You know, when they were having category 1s, that could have worked.
Another valid counterpoint to that.
Uh-huh.
As we see towards the end of the first Pacific Rim,
Yeah.
the kaiju were developing specific countermeasures
Mhm.
against the Jaeger.
Yeah.
And the Jaegers were themselves inherently adaptable and versatile weapons. Can you
Okay.
imagine how quickly a orbital skyscraper would have just been completely, made useless against the kaiju? All it would have had to do was just either make a faster one or just make one with like just like a turtle.
Also,
Just make a big turtle.
the Jaegers weren't made to fight in the cities. They were made to fight in the oceans outside of the cities to prevent the kaiju from even coming into the cities at
At
all.
the Miracle
At that
Mile.
point, drop an
Yeah.
A-bomb.
No.
In the ocean.
Seth, it's a planet.
You know how
You
the
can't just drop
repercussions of we were feeling the repercussions of the atomic bombs dropped in Japan.
Yeah, but like if it's
And there were 42 kaiju in the first year of the breach. Or no, it wasn't.
No.
It was 42 at the point of
The end of the war.
yeah.
yeah, sure.
That's 42 nuclear bombs.
I'm not saying do it every time,
Oh my god.
but at the end there, when they're like, "Hey, we know that there's going to be a lot coming through at this time because that one guy was right," that would have been a perfect time to drop a nuke in the ocean.
They did.
Wait, did
They-
you watch the movie?
They did.
That was
but
the
it wasn't-
plan!
Wasn't an actual one. That wasn't the exact idea. They could have done it better. They could have done it more
That was
effectively.
probably a bigger nuke than they could have launched.
yeah.
Because
it
that
doesn't
was
check
on
out.
the back of a hulking titan.
Nah, it doesn't check out.
And plus, fucking Scunner, I think, was the Cat 5 there and
Yeah.
still lived through it, even after it had already been cut to shit.
Mhm.
Look, I'm looking you right in the eye here, Seth.
Yeah.
Giant robots is the solution to giant monsters.
It's not.
Fun fact. Screenwriter Travis Beachman, for the first one, also wrote the graphic novel Pacific Rim Tales from Year Zero, released alongside the movie. It serves as a prologue to the film and is set 12 years before its events. And
Uh-huh.
I've read it. I didn't read it recently, but I remembered watching the movies jogged my memory of a lot of it. It's like a anthology comic, but like the main big story was about the guy who developed the Jaegers for the very first time.
Okay.
And I think, if I'm remembering it right enough, it's during the first or several kaiju attack that they'd seen, he was sitting there with his son, and I think he recently just got a divorce or something. Like, there's a whole other, like, side plot
Sure.
about his wife or whatever.
Okay.
And then, he's sitting there with his son by himself, sees a giant monster attack, and then his son, who's like 4 or 5 years old, is playing with a robot and a Godzilla-alike monster, and just like ramming the toys together. And this guy who's like
And
a
he said,
crazy
"That's a
inventor,
great idea."
Yeah, he's like, "How do you fight giant monsters? Giant mechs."
There you go.
And then he started doing it, and they were, if I'm remembering it right,
They started winning.
Sure.
Started getting good at
They
it.
were good.
the government was just like, we'll fund fucking anything, and it was just he got a grant to start funding it, and they said, whatever we see the first results with, we're going all the way, and he just was able to make the quickest results out of anything else. And then so they funded giant mechs.
See, they're just canon for it.
With backstory, I understand how they came to that point. I still don't think it's the best thing, but really enjoyable to watch.
Another fun fact specifically about that, Stacker
Pentecost.
Pentecost, played by Idris Elba.
Idris.
Really?
That's a different joke.
He was the very first person to ever operate a Jaeger thing.
Okay.
Like, it was, I think it was something like they had to develop a working arm for the government to be like, okay, we'll fund the whole body.
Mhm.
And he was just some commander at the time in charge of trying to find a solution.
Mhm.
And then he's like, hey, there's this giant arm. And they're like, it might work if you put on this brain set. We're not sure. He's like, let me try it, because he's a badass.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
he puts on the brain set, and then there's a whole, I remember the scene from the comic. He's like sitting there trying to move his arm, but can't. And then finally just the whole, you see it in the background, the whole just Jaeger arm just forms a fist. And it's like, oh, yep, that's giant robots now.
Okay.
Nice.
Sure.
Pacific Rim is super cool.
It's super.
I
Like,
assume.
super cancer. It doesn't have to be cancer. It could just be straight radiation.
Is that not what cancer is?
No.
It's not.
not a little bit. Because, I mean, I'm no expert on neither cancer nor radiation poisoning, but most cancer is just like kill you on the inside, and on the outside you pretty much just look fine besides pain. Whereas Pentecost was like, like
Bleeding
blood
out
was
his
dripping
nose.
out of
Yeah.
his nose. Like again, not an expert on cancer or radiation poisoning, but that symptom alone would lead me to lean more towards radiation.
Right, but cancer's the disease of everything. Oh, that guy's sick. Probably has cancer.
Why don't we just give the kaiju cancer?
Dude,
That would work in the long play.
There we go.
Another story from Tales of Zero.
Okay.
I forget his name, but the whatever, not the commander, but like not security guy who was in charge of Gypsy Danger in the first one.
You
Was
mean
it
the
Chow?
operational officer?
Yeah,
That's Tendo Choi.
that's it. Choi.
Not that I'm a nerd or anything and know the names
Mhm.
of every character in the movie, but his name's Tendo.
Glad
Okay.
you know names because I know none of them.
yeah.
But there's a brief story about his him dying, or no, his grandfather dying in his arms because he was covered in kaiju blood.
Nice.
So that's why he
Shit's
wants to
fucked
fight
up.
kaijus, because
Yeah.
he's like, fuck those guys.
And also because, I mean, let's be honest, Tendo's kind of a weeb.
Mhm.
Like, you can just tell from the way he talks. Like, if Tendo was given the option to pilot a Jaeger, you know he would.
For sure.
To quote the man himself, a man's got to do what a man's got to do, brother. I hate that line so much. It's
Why?
such bad writing. It's so
What do
dumb.
you mean? It's all callbacks. You think Gundam has the best writing? You think Power Rangers has the best writing? No. It's all
How is it a
intentional.
callback in the beginning of the episode?
It's not a callback
Or
to
at
anything.
at the
He's
beginning of the
just like,
movie.
hey
No,
man,
no,
did you
no.
have sex with that woman? And he's like, a man's got to do what a man's got to do, brother.
Yeah.
No, not a callback, I guess.
So you
What-
said.
Okay. Sorry, I used the wrong word.
We forgive you.
No,
Moving on.
it's not reference, but taking inspiration from other poorly written robot flicks.
Oh. Yeah, no, I didn't catch that.
Hey.
I think
Yeah.
that's a strong opinion that you have.
No, that's absolutely an excuse, but
I don't. I mean, this is definitely just an opinion. I don't think you can make a movie that costs like $150 million and purposefully put bad writing in it. Like, just be like, you know what? Back in the 60s, they made these movies with terrible writing. So let's just do that again.
Yes.
But have millions of dollars on them.
Let's
That
give that
checks
man.
out.
Give
No.
that man a check.
I don't think they did.
But
Just saying.
they might have for the sake of, then we have an excuse. Right?
That's not an excuse.
You ever make a stupid face when you take a picture? Because it's like, all right, now they know I'm not actually ugly.
No, because I don't take pictures. Except of my giant zucchini. You saw the zucchini, didn't you?
I
Yeah.
did, but
Yeah.
oh god, I gotta
It was
go.
just a plant, a vegetable.
one of the things, it's a fun fact, but I don't have it written there. Just me reading about Pacific Rim years ago. Guillermo del Toro, the co-writer and director of the movie, and like he's the one that not made the movie, but like his name attached to it. Everyone was like, okay, that's why the movie's gonna be good.
Yeah,
We'll
okay.
we'll produce it.
And it was great.
It was great.
Moving on.
But he was just saying it's all like a culmination of things he loved as a child, of just mechs, anime, and kaiju.
Mhm.
And so he wanted to make something like that again, but
Nice.
just not for anyone new, but just make it again, but modern.
for himself.
Yeah.
That's why.
I had a fun fact that's kind of related to that now. Del Toro cut approximately an hour of material from the film. The unused footage explored the characters and their arcs in greater detail, but he thought too much adult talking wouldn't be fun for kids, so he's like, let's get back to the fighting action sooner.
Good. He made the right call.
I mean, even with that, there are still surprisingly few action sequences in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's the fight with Knifehead.
Yep.
And then pretty much the next thing that happens with the Jaegers, aside from Mako and Raleigh's little drift experiment, is when Leatherback and Otachi show up. The
Mhm.
whole Hong Kong fight, which is awesome.
Yeah.
The whole Hong
It's
Kong
pretty-
fight
it's
is
pretty
amazing from start to
It's-
finish.
I wasn't hearing Hong Kong for a second. I was hearing Hong Kong fight. I was like, what?
Hong Kong!
What?
You know, when they cars.
Leatherback runs up and boops Trino Alpha's nose. And then they die horribly.
as far as like character development goes, they do a really good job of using.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's
They,
top notch.
speaking of the drift, though, back to my point of the dialogue writing being terrible,
Yeah.
the amount of times they say something to the effect of, I'm in your head, I know what you're thinking. Like, if you really were in each other's head and knew what you're thinking, then you wouldn't have to say that.
Nope. I have a fun fact about it.
Okay.
The
Hit me with it.
I forget who it was. One of the directors. I think this might be from. I forget which movie it was connected to, but someone asked them, it was either one of the writers or directors, and they asked them, hey, why do the pilots keep shouting at each other, even though they're literally in each other's heads? And he said, it's to help them stay focused.
That
So
makes sense.
you shout out loud, go right, then your brain always immediately just, okay, go right.
That's not an unfair point, but I was referring more to when they're not actually drifting together.
I guess.
Just like when they're outside of the
Also,
of the Jaeger talking.
if you mind melded with someone, you probably treat that as a little weird and then mention it a few times.
Look, it's not. I don't have any problem with the canon. It's just with the writing, which is honestly a problem that like pretty much every sci-fi or fantasy or anything movie has,
Mhm.
which is that there are things the characters would know that the audience would probably not.
Mhm.
Which is why you have so many instances in all types of media of people saying out loud things that don't need to be said out loud for
Yeah.
the sake of the audience. It's just a sad thing you can't really avoid.
Yeah.
But I love this movie so much. I wish they avoided it anyway. You bastards.
Another thing, bringing back to like the character development through drifting.
Uh-huh.
I think it was Del Toro. This is a quote from him that the pilot's smaller stories actually make a bigger point, which is what we're all together in. Is that we're all together in the same robot? Quotation marks in life. Either way, we get along or we die. I didn't want this to be a recruitment ad or anything. The idea of the movie is just that we must trust each other to cross over barriers of color, sex, beliefs, whatever, and just stick together.
I want to start saying that. Like,
We're all
just
in the same giant
regularly.
robot.
We're all in the same giant
it's like,
robot,
look, I know you
man.
want to fight that guy, but aren't we all, same robot of life?
And then I think he went on, but I don't have it, where he was talking specifically about Raleigh and not Herc, but the other guy.
Chuck.
Yeah. Where he was like, hey, that one dude you just beat the shit out of 10 minutes ago, now you have to fight with him and be buddies. And he's like, sometimes life just works that way.
Yeah.
To be fair, it was less fighting with him and more saving his dumb ass. But to Chuck's credit, he didn't really hold a grudge. When Raleigh was kicking Leatherback's ass, he was just cheering him on.
Yeah,
Being like,
exactly.
yeah, kick his ass, Raleigh. I
Yeah.
think that might be a direct quote.
It sounds like a direct quote.
Another quote's from Del Toro about how he made the movie. On selecting Idris Elba, Del Toro stated that this is a movie where I have to deal with a lot more dialogue than ever. And the way I wanted to cast the movie was, who do I want to hear say things?
True.
Nice.
Idris Elba is so good to listen to.
What an amazing reason to cast anybody.
But
What
then,
a champion.
apparently, Tom Cruise was also supposed to be in that role, but he
I'm glad he's
declined
not.
for Edge of Tomorrow and or Live, Die, Repeat, depending on
He's got
It was a
weird
good
teeth.
movie.
He's what?
He's got weird teeth. They don't like
Tom
line up.
Cruise.
Yeah.
I thought you said he
No,
has
like
weird
his
teeth.
Because, obviously you can't see this from us talking, but he's always like,
No. His bottom jaw is like to the left, and his top jaw is like to the right. So like it's not like it looks so fucking weird when he like smiles.
Okay.
It's all like
there you go, Tom Cruise, fix your shit.
I feel like it's required for me to now look up Sir Tom Cruise.
You don't have to do that right now.
I don't know. All right, carry on.
All right.
Yeah.
I want to read another quote from him, but I want to first go to another fun fact that makes the other quote more sense. That didn't make sense.
See, you
It
can
was
tell this
here.
is a good episode because we haven't actually gone through like the talking points of the movie. We're just talking about it because it's such a good movie.
Mhm.
Thank you, Pacific Rim.
A life-size version of the robot cockpit was built on a soundstage at Pinewood Studios in Toronto, Canada. It weighed about 20 tons and stood nearly 4 stories high. It was built on a gigantic hydraulic gimbal, which would move, shake, vibrate, drop, and rock the entire set as if it were actually being piloted. A smaller version was also built for a smaller gimbal, allowing for different movements. The visual effects team used some of the Conpod footage for reference while animating the robots. The set was also redressed to depict the interior of each robot differently. And then from that, apparently all of the actors who were in there kind of like broke down and like just had to stop for a while because it was like they simulated piloting a giant robot, and all of them were like, hey, this is a fucking lot, give me a break for an hour. But the only one who didn't was Rinko Kikuchi,
That's Mako Mori.
the girl who played Mako, and she said she never complained. And then Del Toro said, I asked her secret, and she said, "I think of gummy bears and flowers."
What?
That whole entire statement is like the most Japanese thing you could possibly say. It's like, through all of this shit, she never complained. Why? She was thinking about gummy bears and flowers.
Del Toro then said, "I try to live my life that way now."
I mean, really, we are all in the same giant robot.
Yeah.
So
Of life.
we should all just think about gummy bears and flowers.
You know, if there were more gummy bears and flowers in the robot, it'd be better.
In our Jaeger, we would have a little jelly bean in us.
Oh, of course.
I'd like to think there's a mini fridge in
Well,
the
no,
Jaeger.
it couldn't be between you. It'd have to be on the same side, so you can both still grab at the same time, but
Yeah.
still
What?
You make
connected.
the same movement.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
make the same movement, so it'd have to be both.
You don't
taken
always make the same move.
No, you don't always, but you know it helps
It'd
if
be
you're
really
in that mood.
convenient
Because
to
on the
both
right
have a
side-
bowl of,
On the
jelly
right side,
beans.
I would have the thing in my right hand. So on my left side would be you, and you would have the thing in your left hand, and your right hand would be. So we could just both reach forward and grab some jelly beans.
That's fair.
Of course, it would have to be on a gyroscope because there's a lot of movement in
could
there.
you imagine where like all the jelly beans would go? It'd be awful.
They would be in the bowl because they're in a gyroscope. Gyroscopic jelly bean technology. Work on it.
All right, I think they made giant robots, mechs, and holograms. I think they figured out how to not spill jelly beans.
I think they can handle it. Why aren't they there?
I disagree because war helps develop technology, and they were warring for a while.
Yeah.
So the only technology they would really be developing would be things that would further their cause.
And
Now we might need a jelly bean gyroscope, but I don't think if we were, well, I don't know, Jaeger pilots were kind of rock stars.
Yeah.
Maybe if we were good enough, we could demand jelly bean gyroscopes.
I would
Only
for
green
sure.
jelly beans.
No, fuck no.
That's kind of gross. Yeah.
It's
All right, that's why you're not a Jaeger pilot.
Also, fuck you, be a great eat.
All right, well then who would you be drift compatible with?
None of you fucks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
With the
I can't
We
be
rest
a
our
Jaeger
case.
pilot.
What if your hate for all of us like strengthens your bond?
But he still has to have somebody to bond with.
Oh, that's fair.
Presumably somebody who also hates us all a lot.
Tim, there you go.
I don't know. I think we all hate each other.
I think Tim hates everyone the most, though.
The real question is, can you hate us as much as Tim hates us?
I could
yeah,
get
I think Billy pulls it off pretty well.
another thing about drifting stuff from Tales of Year Zero. I don't remember exactly, but the scientist having problems with his wife. After Stacker piloted the Fist, and they formed the first final Jaeger, and then finally figured out that you needed two people to drift.
Mhm.
They got his wife, who was an Air Force pilot, to come in, or maybe ex-wife at the time, or like separated but not married. There was like some problem before, but then she started drifting with another Air Force pilot or something, or NASA
Ooh.
pilot. And yeah, he walks in on them having sex afterwards, and she's
Yeah.
like, once you're in someone's head, you kind of just like
You gotta
form
give
that
him some head.
Yeah, maybe, I don't think it was that. but it was
Tagline
just
to
like,
life.
Checks out. We're all in the same giant robot, and if you're in someone's head, you give them head.
Yes.
And if we are all in the same giant robot, then we're all also in each other's heads. So everybody should just give each other heads.
So there should just be orgies all the time.
Yes. Have you ever read Light of Other Days? I told you to read that like years ago. Arthur C. Clarke short story.
No.
I think it might be a full
No.
novel.
Nah.
It's not at all relevant to this, but
No,
it's a
not at all.
great story. And it basically eventually culminates in orgies.
Okay.
That's not the point of the book, but it's really fascinating.
Another fun fact related to the practical effects. When Mako falls into her memory after of being attacked as a little girl,
She chases the rabbit,
Mhm.
which is random
Wait.
access brain impulse trigger, by the way.
when she chases the rabbit and falls, the transition from the cockpit to the Jaeger to the Japanese street was all done on set.
Oh shit.
Like that was
That's pretty
actually
cool.
like the cockpit like opening up and her actually falling through and landing on a street.
That's pretty cool.
Nice job. Practical effects in the great.
Another one that Steven pointed out, but I found a very descriptive version of it.
I guess I wasn't good enough at describing it.
You're not.
At around 1 hour and 25 minutes, the inside of the building that Gypsy's fish smashes through was created using miniatures. Many of the components of the office cubicle were made using 3D printers. The lighting was practical and done to scale. Once the set was ready, a large green mandrel was rammed through it, and it was digitally replaced with Gypsy's fist.
Was the fuck, what's it called?
The Noon's Cradle.
The- was
Yeah,
the new- was
that-
the-
Yeah.
mhm, that's
That-
another one of the bits that was completely
Well,
recreated,
that's
or-
part of it. That's the
Yeah.
that's
Mhm.
the thing.
Gotcha.
But we don't know about the car in Uprising
No.
when they did the same thing.
Not yet. I didn't find a fun
Spoilers,
fact about
dude.
it.
Come on.
Some other
There's a
random
car
ones.
in Uprising? Shit.
Dude, there's at least 2.
Ellen McLean, the voice of the computer systems, was also the voice of GLaDOS from the Portal video games.
I knew it!
Obviously.
What do you...
That was,
I'm
Was
just
that a
letting
thing
you
you
guys knew I knew.
Okay. I mean, I think that was a big point. Like, I think that was the first thing I heard about the movie was just...
Gladys
there's-
is in it.
yeah, she, like, in the very first trailer, it was just, like, Gladys saying shit.
Actually, these movies are just precursors to the Portal game franchise. Yes,
That checks out.
it is 100%.
That makes
Confirmed
sense.
canon.
I don't think so.
That's,
I actually
do you not
had...
hear him? It's been confirmed as canon.
I'm
Yep,
going to
uh-huh.
force this all upon you people,
Uh-huh.
because I don't care. But back
Yeah.
when the first trailer to Pacific Rim came out, well before the movie or any plot details, I had a theory about what the plot was going to, which I shared with all my friends back then,
Oh yeah.
which was that, so as I said before, the Ellen McLean as the Gladys voice was very prominent in the trailer. In the
Mhm.
actual movie, she doesn't really do anything. But in the trailer,
I mean,
I
she
thought...
talks.
I
What else
thought
is she
that
gonna
she was
do?
going to be a computer that was helping control the Jaegers, and that eventually, during the movie, they would find out that the kaiju are all connected by a hive mind, and they would have to use their GLaDOS computer to infect the hive mind and stop them, but then said hive mind, or said computer, would turn against them. And obviously, I was
That's pretty
completely
close.
wrong, but the kaiju are connected by a hive mind. I was right about that, and that's frankly the most important part of my theory.
And the hive mind caused someone to turn against them.
yeah,
That's
I
like
was
the
right
entire
about
plot
that
of the second
also.
one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you, Steven.
I mean,
I was
right.
I was so smart. It's just instead of Gladys, it was Charlie Day, which nobody could have ever seen coming.
That's fucking spoilers. We haven't gotten there yet.
No, he's right.
we
That's
haven't even
amazing.
talked about the first movie yet.
I mean,
Technically,
We're not gonna go through like beat by beat. Like,
why not?
I mean,
I've got time.
all right.
Yeah, but do our viewers?
All right, scene 1. We see particles floating. We think it's space because Charlie Hunnam's talking about space, but actually it's the bottom of the Pacific Ocean.
Oh shit.
Lights flicker, a portal opens. So next fun fact.
Gypsy Danger is painted in detail to resemble a World War II fighter plane. There is nose art on its chest.
Nice.
For how many? It's also its or whatever. Basic, yeah. Head and the guards around its neck were also supposed to resemble an American football player because Del Toro wanted the main character to be the American robot or mech.
I don't know. The Japanese robot was the best. Also, I've played fighters. They said this one's really fast, so
They're-
it's perfect.
It was a Chinese robot.
Yeah,
Was it?
There's
Yeah.
no-
Alright.
The Wei Tang brothers
Yeah.
were native in Hong
Crimson
Kong.
Typhoon.
They
Yeah.
mention it.
It looked like
Not
they had,
not
like,
that I'm
katanas
calling
and
you
stuff.
out for not remembering the specific scenes in the movie, but
The way it fought seemed Japanese. You know, it looked like it had like 2 katanas and stuff. That made me think of like.
are you thinking of Uprising?
Yeah, I'm definitely talking about it.
That's Saber Athena, the orange one, the
Yeah.
fastest one.
the super quick one.
I
played
also don't
fighting
think
games.
that was Japanese.
It should be,
It was named Saber Athena. That's not
Yeah.
a Japanese name at all.
Probably not.
but it had like katanas, and you put them together into a samurai sword. That's how it fought.
No,
Totally.
they had
Checks
2
out.
short swords that came together into one big sword. It
No,
wasn't.
no.
It
It
wasn't
wasn't
even
a
a
katana.
little bit shaped like a katana.
Not
It
at
was,
all.
it was katanas followed by samurai sword. That's
Again,
how-
second movie, not first movie.
All right,
Ah,
so
it's fine.
Seth didn't watch the movie.
No,
Clearly.
Another fun fact about the Jaegers, Striker Eureka, the white Australian Jaeger, was initially chosen to be the hero Jaeger of the film, but Del Toro thought its appearance was too cold and arrogant.
You
Are
know,
sure
it
he
was,
wasn't
it was
talking about Chuck.
originally chosen to be the hero Jaeger in the movie as well, and then they blew up.
That's true.
What?
He's
What?
talking about in the canon.
Yeah.
Striker Eureka was chosen to be the hero,
Oh, okay.
and then they
Okay.
died. Spoiler alert.
I think this might be the last of the fun facts.
I have a fun fact.
Uh-huh.
So, many times in both movies, when people are speaking not English, they give you subtitles to tell you what they're doing. But one of the only time, I think it might be the only time in the first movie. I know there's at least once in the second movie. But one of the only times they don't give subtitles is right before Stacker and Chuck Hansen die, which is when Mako says, "Sensei, aishitemasu," teacher or master, I love you. But there's no subtitles for that.
Why?
I don't know. I guess I would guess that they felt like it would be too on the nose to just have "I love you" in big letters at the bottom of the screen.
It was
You know?
implied.
No.
Yeah, like even if you don't understand the language, you know her last words to her father figure would probably be pretty much the same as what you would expect. I personally I wouldn't put it in subtitle again because I feel like it would be too on the nose.
Okay.
Just throw it in the audience's face. You have to let the audience like
Think?
yeah, think. I was gonna say infer, but yeah, think.
I don't know. That seems way too... Like, this isn't a thinking movie.
There's so much thought in it.
We just read the fun fact where you want thinking movie, but just not too thinky.
That's what I'm talking
We had
about.
like a 10-minute discussion about why giant robots is the best option.
I don't know.
Exactly.
I still don't think that it is. Also,
You still
hold
don't
on.
think?
It's still not the best
Ooh.
option. Fuck it. No thinking involved. It's still not the best option. And if it is giant robots, why the fuck aren't they, like, remote controlled?
Did you watch the second movie?
Other than the fact... The drone should have been the get-go.
Well, drones would have
They
been...
didn't have the technology.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drones were much harder to... It was much easier for people... So
Mako Mori, Secretary General of the United Nations, Mako Mori, stated in the second movie,
Uh-huh.
drones can be hacked.
That's true.
Okay.
Also,
I mean, I don't
Made
think that's
also, what came first, fighter jets or drone jet, or like drones? You know,
But we have the technology for drone jets.
yeah, but they hadn't.
Yeah.
Do we have the
Drone
technology for
jets.
drone giant robots?
No, we do not.
They...
Plus, even
Snap,
in the second
snap,
movie,
snap.
Li Wen Xiao worked on the drone technology for years.
Okay.
Years. And even then, the drones were still piloted by an off-site single pilot. Do you really think that they could create an AI sophisticated enough to actually battle a kaiju? Because I've said multiple times that the whole point of the Jaegers is that they're versatile because the kaijus change every time.
Uh-huh.
So the Jaegers need to be able to adapt on the fly.
Sure.
If the best they could do 10 years after the war ended was an autonomous pilot
Uh-huh.
that was just controlling the robot, do you really think that they could have created drones sophisticated enough to fight it?
I would have been 100% happy if the place where the two people fighting and controlling the robot was not actually in the robot. Because it makes no sense to actually put the people there if you're in that situation. You can just
Latency.
have fucking...
Yeah, imagine the fucking lag on that.
Imagine if you hit a ping spike and like you go up to like 200 ping and like.
And again, I will bring up the fact that the kaiju were specifically developing countermeasures. They had a biological
Not the kaiju.
EMP.
Yeah,
Okay.
that would have just shut down the drones and it would have been
Well,
useless.
no, they wouldn't even need
Well,
an
they
EMP.
shut
They
down
could they could just create like a signal dampener, and then your Jaeger would just because it would no longer be getting signals from the offsite pilots.
Sure, but they came up with that anyways. They still shut down the Jaegers. The only reason the first one didn't work is because, like... Or the first one still
it was
worked
analog.
because it was analog, yeah. It
But-
wasn't controlled through electricity.
But if
Well, it
it
was.
was piloted offsite, then
From the get-go, like the reason
It
it was
wouldn't
analog
help.
was because it was one of the first generations, and if they had just immediately started out with drones, then we would have all been dead at that point
But, like,
in the movie.
drift-compatible pilots were super hard to find. They were dying a lot. It seems like a reasonable jump to say, let's see if we can't get them out of the cockpit in some way.
they did, and it took them 10 years.
Yeah.
I think they could have done it faster.
They were
All
they were
right.
scrambling.
All right,
They were
you
freaking
have,
out.
You have 9 years and 364 days
Uh-huh.
to invent the system that you so desire, and if you can't do it,
I'm not...
You
and
always
as well as building and redefining different versions
Engineering
of mechs
as we know
as
it.
well.
or you
Sure.
could just make a skyscraper missile. You know what?
Okay.
We'll give you some options, but
All
if
right.
you can do any of these within the next less
Give me
than 10
the
years,
entire world's resources and the greatest minds ever,
it's
and
just
I can
you.
do it. Oh, well, see,
you're saying
this is unrealistic. See, just me has the idea of skyscraper missiles. And
you're
that
saying
works
they
better.
could have done it.
Uh-huh.
And they did have all of that stuff and couldn't do it. So you're saying that you're better than them.
I'm saying that they made really weird choices, yeah.
They made such great choices.
No, they made really entertaining choices.
They
once.
made great choices
You know
for a
what?
great movie.
I don't think. Wait, why is this even a topic of discussion? I don't
What?
think the.
Because it's not a
Jaeger-
thinking movie. That's the problem.
I don't think the Jaegers and
They didn't have a
kaijus and
movie.
everything like that was supposed to be the best, most optimal strategy. I think it just gave people an excuse to build giant mechs with swords. And that's okay. 100% okay.
Can we talk about how much of a dick Mako is that they installed a sword? They installed 2 swords on Gypsy Danger, and she didn't tell Raleigh until he was in the fucking stratosphere.
Because he's unpredictable.
And she didn't even
Wild
she didn't
card.
even tell him. He was just like, "What do we do? We're all out of options." She was like, "No, we're not." And then she clicked the sword button. Like what?
Yeah, no,
Well,
that's,
just
that's
tell
solid.
the man about the swords.
It's
And it
probably.
was so good. It was a great weapon.
yeah,
like,
she just
just
sliced it
from
right
the
in half.
get-go.
I'd like
it
to
was
assume-
it was a slicing weapon, not a blunt weapon.
uh-huh.
You don't want to give
Raleigh.
Raleigh,
Raleigh,
yeah,
as Chuck
Raleigh,
says like
his,
7 times.
His you don't want him to pull out a sword in the middle of a crowded area. But
He's not supposed to be in a crowded area in the first place.
He
But
was
that's
in
were.
the
the
middle of
Miracle
the
Mile.
ocean at first.
They were.
I'd like to
He used
assume
that ship as kind of like a sword.
I'd like
If
to.
he already had a sword, that would have been his first option.
They were on the top of Mount Fuji, not in the middle of a crowded area. They were technically in the middle of a crowded area,
No,
but they were in the
no,
middle
no,
of
no,
it.
no,
but
the-
not
the
crowded.
boat-
He's talking about the city fight
Yeah.
in the first
Oh,
movie.
Yeah.
oh.
I'd like to assume that the swords have been there the entire time. Raleigh just has never read the user manual, but
Or
Mako,
looked at the big sword button.
But-
It's plasma cannon, and then underneath it is a sword. And you
But-
just never touched it.
but Mako, being the overachiever that she is, did read the user manual, and so she knows about the swords.
I accept this as canon,
Yes.
so it's now canon.
Um,
You're welcome.
last,
Zora.
last fun fact. We
Uh-huh.
can jump around, maybe do final thoughts.
This is
for
our
the first
third
one.
last fun fact now.
No.
No.
I kept trying to read this one and
And then
being
we kept
interrupted.
going somewhere else. It was good. It was great.
But it's a good one.
Oh,
Is it
okay.
a good one?
Hit me with it.
The 1 minute explosion countdown actually takes 1 minute on set or to set off in the movie.
That's awesome because that usually
Oh my
never
God.
happens.
It is pretty cool, but like,
The whole
That's it.
the whole shit when they go through the breach pisses me off too.
why? Like,
Okay, so
how are you the biggest defender and also the biggest
I
critic?
told you, I never once said it is a perfect movie. I said it is flawed and I love it. Honestly, I think that makes me love it more. Is I'm able to see the problems with it and be like, well, you have valid criticisms,
Well, I
but
mean,
okay. So here's the problem.
it's the tokusatsu thing. You turn off your brain and it's great.
They seem to change their mind during the movie whether the other side of the breach is a different planet or a different universe
Because they didn't know.
Well, because no, I think it's the writer's problem, not the people in the story's problem. Because a lot of people, which really triggers me, don't seem to know the difference between like a star system or a galaxy or the universe, and people use those terms interchangeably when they're not interchangeable. But my problem is when they go through the breach, physics just seem to fly out the window. He goes through the breach, and it's unclear whether they're inside a liquid or if there's just air,
Okay.
because it could be either. They don't
I
really.
mean, have you ever traveled to another dimension? Do you know what it looks like?
You don't know if it's another dimension. It might
But
just be another
They
planet.
did say at the end it was another dimension.
They also called it. They also said it was a different universe. Again, so he comes through the breach, and Gypsy Danger starts slowly floating down. In the background, there's what appears to be a star or a black hole or something that's like very close to this planet or whatever they're on.
Mm-hmm.
And where the breach comes down appears to be a roof. Like it's like a solid thing above the precursor's settlement or whatever. Gypsy Danger slowly floats down, and then yet when Raleigh ejects, his pod goes up.
Because it had momentum. It sailed with it.
Also, didn't it have rockets also?
Yeah.
The
I don't
escape
know.
pod? I don't think
thought
so.
No, it
Thinking
had
about them, I don't think
flotation
they do.
devices.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, after
But
it
we-
lands.
So if it's water-esque, he's floating down and then flotation.
But then why is
devices
there a
and he floats
roof?
up.
It's so confusing.
Where is the gravity? Like, how does gravity?
Exactly. I love the movie, but
It's
That-
another planet, man. You don't know what happened.
that whole
It's-
60 seconds with Gypsy falling and then Raleigh flies up and everything's weird, it really irks me. Like, it looks so cool, but the physics of the situation confuse me so much. I wish I could get like a zoomed out view, like picture with just little I don't know, like cutouts. They're like, okay, so this is where gravity is going, and the reason this floats up is because they're in water, and this isn't actually a roof, it's just like a large construct floating over. Like, I want to know.
If that's an acceptable answer to you, assume that that's what happened.
I can't.
Man, it's
Because
just a
it doesn't
different
make
multiverse,
sense.
you know?
You can't. I know you're saying a different thing every time to trigger me, but it's working.
It's just a different side quest.
A side B, perhaps?
You know,
Yes.
Milky Way's all over the planet. It's just, Alright, Seth,
Yeah, what's up?
final thoughts.
Uh-huh.
Brief idea, just final thoughts. Final thoughts for the first one.
Final thought. All right. Other than I think they could have come up with a better idea. Really enjoyable movie. That's
Sorry.
animal. No, I'm kidding.
Really enjoyable movie.
Yeah. That's it. That's all I got.
Was that part of Seth's thoughts, or was that just your whole thoughts?
No, I was trying to give him a place to back in, and they can cut that part out.
Nah, that stays in. Punch
Alright.
the mic. Hunter's upset about it.
Alright, Hunter, what's your final thoughts?
Well, it was fucking fantastic, and I quote it all the time. Very quotable movie.
True. That also, because we're the same person.
Yes.
Not the same person in each
Drift
other's head.
compatible.
Yeah.
Same thing.
No?
Look, just because we're different drifts doesn't mean you don't understand it. We're just different beings, okay? We're just different consciousness. Do you see what I'm getting at here? Thank you. Would you like to ask me for my final thoughts?
Yeah, what's your final thoughts?
As I've said before, it is a flawed but thoroughly enjoyable movie that makes me happy every time I watch it and think about it, and harkens back to my childhood of, as you said earlier, just taking little action figures of robots and monsters and smashing them into each other, but with awesome CGI. It's great. I love it a lot.
My final thoughts. The first time I watched it, I was like into the spectacle of it, but like after walking out, everyone I was with was like, "That movie's amazing." I was like, "I don't think it's that good." And then I think this is the first time I've watched it like all the way through again, and I don't know what it is. I got super more into it and kind of want to watch it like just every so often, just like put it on sometimes.
That's what I do.
And I think it might be because of the.
Oh my god, we never talked about the music. The music
I really
is
wanted
so
to talk
good.
about it. Yes,
It's so good. That's the entire conversation. Just the music is so good, start to finish. We like when we were playing Numenera once. We just had the whole soundtrack of because the second movie wasn't out yet. We just had the whole soundtrack on repeat. Every fucking track is so good.
And like I really like they had the theme or just the Pacific Rim theme, but then for the first movie. Didn't do it with the second one, which is bullshit. But the first one, they changed like the tone of the theme depending on the scene. So if it was sad, but like still like hopeful, they play the theme because that theme's all about like getting hyped and everything.
They
then
utilized
toned
the
it
lead
down.
motif great, and they played it with different instruments. I really love how they have the Jaeger theme and the Kaiju theme. So like whenever the Jaegers are doing cool shit, it's like da 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 da. But when terrible shit is happening and the Kaiju start fucking shit up, it's like dun 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 dun. It's great.
So
You can see that's what the Pacific Rim music looks like.
And then for our final bit for Pacific Rim 1, Seth, what was your dope ass shit for Pacific Rim 1?
Steven's not gonna like this when he falls through and drops the bomb and then he like ejects out. That was pretty cool. I thought it was a really good looking scene. And you said it's a really good looking scene, but you hate it.
It looks great.
But it looks great.
Yeah, it looks great.
Steven, do you know our dope ass shit?
No, but I think I've caught on. It's a scene or part of the movie, show, game, etc. that was really cool.
That was dope ass shit.
That was dope ass.
Was it dope as shit?
No,
as
dope,
well as being dope as shit?
Sure.
It could be both.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that follows.
Shit's pretty dope.
Dope.
All right, Hunter.
Well, I think my dope ass shit. I wish that he was like not a little punk bitch, but the 3-armed Jaeger,
Mm-hmm.
the
Crimson Typhoon.
Crimson Typhoon, was
Piloted by the
Wu-Tang.
Wei-Tang brothers.
Wei-Tang. That's what I said.
Triplets.
Also, Cherno Alpha. Pretty cool.
Dude, we
Like
never talked
a
about the
brick?
Russians.
What do you mean? No, it was a giant nuclear reactor.
That's
Look,
fair.
the Kaidanovsky
whatever.
twins are the best. Alexei and Sasha Kaidanovsky got fucked.
Oh wait,
They didn't deserve it.
no, that wasn't my dope ass shit. I just remembered. That was my panic dope ass shit.
Oh,
My dope ass shit really was leatherback. It was an organic thing
EMP.
an organic EMP. That's so fucking cool.
I love the way they show it, and it's almost like a revolver. Like it's all glowing, and something comes back, and then it
The hammer,
clamps
yeah.
down and sends out the waves.
all right, Steven, what was your dope ass shit?
My dope ass shit is when Striker Eureka blows up at the bottom of the ocean, and all of the water gets vaporized, and for a second they're in a pocket of air at the bottom of the ocean, and you can see the fish flopping around, and it's all dark, as it should be, because it's the bottom of the ocean. And Gypsy Danger just slowly turns back to see the huge wall of water crashing back down on them. It's dope as shit.
Yeah, that's the same. You got it.
My dope ass shit.
Uh-huh.
Talked about it before. The boat scene when he grabs the boat, or just like walks off from off screen, dragging a boat, and then holds it like a giant sword,
That's pretty
and
dope.
then the music swells up.
The movie's
Dope
so
as shit.
good.
It's so good. All right. I guess any lingering final thoughts you picked up after dope ass shit? I know.
Is that your final thoughts for the first movie or all
Yes,
together?
for the first movie.
Okay. Good.
Let's just jump to community segment for the first movie.
Uh huh.
I can find it. Tim,
Oh shit.
you know him as another member of the Side B. He said, "Okay, man, I love Pacific Rim. Giant monsters, giant robots. It's every kid's dream. But am I the only one who thought it would have been nice to see Hellboy pilot a mech?" Which I don't know if he's talking about.
He's Drum Perlman. He's talking about, yeah.
But Hellboy mech would be pretty cool.
I have big thoughts about Hannibal Chow for the second movie. Piss me off.
He's just not there.
No, okay. Well, I guess we're just gonna jump into Pacific
Yeah,
Rim
okay,
Uprising
well-
now. No, look, we're doing it. All right. Here's my problem with
You-
Hannibal Chow.
You're just fucking the script here.
Here's my problem. With
No, this
Hannibal
is
Chow.
still, he's got a problem with Hannibal Chow, which is the first movie.
In the first movie. Uh-huh.
Hannibal Chow, when he gets eaten by the baby kaiju, loses his shoe with this cool little golden skunk things,
Yeah.
and Charlie Day picks it up. And then when Charlie Day shows up in the second movie, he's not wearing those shoes, and that
He only
pisses me
picked
off.
up one.
Yeah, he only
I
has
know,
one
but
shoe.
okay, no. So here's the thing. But like, I've
And
obviously,
then
He
the
should-
very last thing, he came out, after he came out of the kaiju, he's like, where's my damn shoe?
I know. All I'm saying
You
is,
better bet he fucking found his damn shoes.
Charlie Day went through a lot of shit in Pacific Rim 1, and when we see him in Pacific Rim 2, like, you know, he's rich, he's a successful technology man.
He's married.
They're not married.
Yeah, he said wife.
Yeah, his
Alice.
wife. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's married. All right.
His
Bless him.
beautiful wife, Alice.
He should have been wearing, like, I'm not saying those exact shoes, but like he should have had shoes just like Hannibal Chow with his little metal things. Because
He should have been callback, is what you're saying.
yeah, like with instead of just having him walk up with Lee Wen the first time they show Charlie Day, should have been the shoes.
A shoe shot.
And you see the clink clink, and he walks up, and you're like, oh my god, Hannibal Chow's back. And then you look up, and it's fucking Newt Geisler with his sunglasses on. They totally missed that opportunity.
Another fun fact I didn't
Should've
write
done.
down. But Ron Perlman kept those shoes
I
for a
believe it.
little while. But then, for some reason, his wife, they didn't give a reason, but his wife smelted them and then used them to make heels for her shoes.
That is like the most Ron Perlman thing they could have done with that.
Alright, so we'll jump into Pacific Rim Uprising.
I'm sorry. I thought I interrupted your community segment. Was there more stuff?
No, that was
No.
it. That was it.
well,
Yeah,
then-
we just have that one.
Okay.
You are our living community segment right now. Because
Okay,
you would have
that's me.
been just in this. Alright, so Pacific Rim Uprising.
The entire last hour of me talking was just
Yep.
that text box.
Jake Pentecost, son of Stacker Pentecost, reunites with Mako Mori to lead a new generation of Jaeger pilots, including rival Lambert and 15-year-old hacker Amara against a new kaiju threat. That was from IMDb because Wikipedia did not have a good summary.
That's just wrong.
Yeah, it's,
Amara's not a hacker. She doesn't hack a single thing.
she's not a hacker, and they never mention her age, other than how old are you old enough to kick?
Yeah,
And-
Amara's
That doesn't
like
mean she's not 15
And
just because they
Marco
don't
is
say it.
kind of like non-existent in the movie.
she's a mechanic, not a hacker.
Also, I'm pretty sure that's what
Triggered!
That's what it says. Yeah, I actually just read it. That's what it says on the back of the boxes.
Does
I
it?
think.
What?
I'm pretty sure.
They're wrong.
Like of the Blu-ray DVD box.
That is
She's a hacker, as in like she hacks away locks to get inside of scrapyards. Sure.
She hacks away the little piece from inside Obsidian Fury and
That's
fucking
fair.
drips acid all over Jin Hai.
Alright, so yeah. We'll start with you, Steven. General thoughts on Pacific Rim Uprising.
I have a lot. I wouldn't say I have less feelings, but I have less strong feelings about this only because I've only seen it twice. Like, it's newer. It's not as big a part as my life of the last 5 years. But I really liked it. There are a lot of ways you can fuck up a sequel to a movie, especially a movie you care a lot about. And I don't think they fucked it up. I think they did good. I'm excited for the third one.
We'll get there. A fun fact.
I just like to skip
There's-
movies.
There's a fun fact. Hunter.
So like initially, like just like blanket from. So like in.
Or, I mean, yeah, you could do history and general thought. I don't know.
Good no, because
But,
like in,
yeah.
in Pacific Rim 1, like for Pacific Rim 2, the biggest thing I took away from it was the Jaegers are so fast now.
Well, yeah, because they're all...
Yeah, cause like Striker was like
a 5.
yeah, and so
the
like
only Mark V.
and so at this point they're probably
There's my
well
fun
into 7, maybe even 8.
No.
Oh, they're not.
No,
No.
there's a fun fact.
Okay.
I mean, I can read it right now.
No. Oh yeah. Fine. Let's
Alright.
put it in right here.
Yeah, Bracer Phoenix was just the second
Yes.
Mark V Jaeger, with the first being Striker Eureka. All other Jaegers, Gypsy Avenger, Saber Athena, Titan Redeemer, and Guardian Bravo, are all Mark 6s.
But yeah, see, and Bracer Phoenix was so fucking fast. I just loved how fast, and I really liked, to tie it back into Pacific Rim. There was comparable differences in how fast the Jaegers moved depending on their mark. So
That was one when we talked at the beginning of the show about inconsistencies, that was another thing I neglected to mention, was both the Jaegers and the Kaiju are as fast as the situation demands them to be.
That is also true.
So, like, there are, like, for example, when, in the first one, when Gypsy uses the elbow rocket, like, it takes him forever to bring the arm back, and then the rocket comes, and then he's punk. But then when they're fighting, when it's not, like, a single spectacle moment, it's all very quick. There's one logical inconsistency in it. The Jaegers are fast or slow.
Well, it could have been, like, done a little, like, slow motion to build up the...
And
who says
in that particular moment,
was
sure,
100% real time.
Yeah, I just thought the fight scenes were a lot cooler because the faster Jaegers and the faster Kaiju as well.
The second fight scene with the Obsidian Fury, because they move so quickly, it's just like watching two people actually fight, except it's giant robots on ice.
So
I would watch
like
that.
a great show. Giant robots on ice.
Yeah, that sounds great.
I feel like that. I'm sure some Japanese show has already done it.
All right. So I guess for my general thoughts, and I kind of said it last night, after watching the second movie, it makes me think the first movie is like a prequel, and the second movie is the movie. It just seems like it has so much more story, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, my general thoughts. I didn't watch Pacific Rim Uprising before because I thought it wasn't going to connect to Pacific Rim 1 as much as I wanted. Also, Guillermo del Toro didn't direct it or have much say in it. And so I was like, I'm not completely interested in it. And then it had enough connections to it to where I would have been fine watching it before. And all of the past connections were, instead of me thinking they should have been there, were kind of like nice surprises. Which is weird for a direct sequel to something, but alright. But yeah, so what's something we want to dive into for that?
I think it's really interesting, Seth, that you mentioned Pacific Rim Uprising feels like it has more story, and the first one is more of a prequel. Because they actually talk about that, it's a plot point in the second movie, where Lambert says, if you don't know your enemy's objective, you can't know you've defeated them. And I think that in itself really lends to what you just said, because as we talked about earlier, in the entire first movie, we really don't know anything about the kaiju. They just come through the breach and fight us, and we don't know shit. And it really is in Uprising that we learn more about them. And we don't really learn a lot more about their motivations, because their motivation is pretty much just, we want your planet. But we learn a lot more about them in Uprising. So I see why you feel that way. I don't agree, but I see why.
That's fair.
We got really quiet, and we were very, very respectful of each other.
Yeah, normally we're yelling at each other, and that's...
Oh, I know. I've been here. I remember Brawl.
I didn't think John Boyega was going to be a good Pentecost. Pretty good Pentecost.
It's hard to watch somebody, because like John Boyega, he's Finn in Star Wars, and for me, that was the first time I ever saw him. I find a lot of times it's hard to displace actors from the roles they play. So, like, if you like, I saw John Boyega as Finn, and it was like, how am I ever going to see him as not Finn? But he does really well.
I think for me, it was mostly the voice. Like, that's just his normal voice.
Yeah, going from his American accent to his...
But I was like, okay, yeah, that's just a British black dude. Okay, that's not Finn. No.
Yeah.
That's how I felt about Charlie Day. I was like, this is going to remind me of fucking, like...
Oh, no, it does for sure.
He separates it enough. He's not an idiot. He's a genius. And I was like, I can accept that as a big enough change to separate this in my...
I'm still waiting for him to, like, do some crazy shit. Start huffing something, or... or go, wild card, and, like, do some stupid shit.
He had mental sex with a kaiju brain.
That's fair.
Pretty crazy out there.
Alright, so if the other science guy, whose name I don't remember...
Herman Gottlieb.
Yep. If Herman had actually went to see Alice like fucking Charlie had asked him to 30,000 times, the movie wouldn't have happened.
That's true.
It's Herman's fault. Herman ruined everything.
Yep.
Well, also that's just one of those pleasantries where it's like, hey,
I don't think it's fair to say the movie wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, I think he would have just been like, "What the fuck's wrong with you?" I don't know if.
And then he would have gotten hit over the head, and then
Newt was working on his back door the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, all he had to do was just, like, click the button, and it was like, all of your Jaegers are kaiju making breaches now.
If he knew ahead of time, I feel like something severe would have changed.
I don't know if he would have known that he was continually drifting with his kaiju brain wife, but, I don't think he would have assumed, oh, that makes you evil now. It would have just been, oh, you're really weird, and then he still would have come to his initial thought of, what's her late the
Lee Wen.
Lee Wen.
Yeah.
He would have just thought Lee Wen is taking whatever he's learned from doing that and then using it to making evil drones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I feel like it would have changed a lot, but I could be wrong.
We don't know the extent to which Newt was actually in control and the precursor was in control, because like obviously the whole time it just sounds like Newt,
Mm-hmm.
but we also like the precursor when he first starts talking, you know, he refers to Newt as he and not I.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So like the precursor can speak with Newt's voice without doing all the voice modulation. Anyway, the point I'm getting at is if the precursor had been in control enough to play it off, like had Gottlieb actually met Alice, Newt could have just been like, haha, got you. I've been working on this prank for years. I've been telling you about this lady Alice that I met, and she's my wife. This whole time it was just a joke. And
Sure.
Gottlieb has no sense of humor, so he probably would have been like, you're fucking weird, and just let it go.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That's what I would have done had I been a precursor infecting that guy's mind. I would have just been like, got him.
It makes me uncomfortable that you can imagine that scenario. I gotta
Look, if I ever asked you to meet my wife, and you
and it
do
turns
it.
out to be a
It
giant
is
brain.
100% a monster brain.
it's all a prank.
Some fun facts. Two facts. Guillermo del Toro stepped down as director in order to direct The Shape of Water instead, which he won the Academy Award for Best Picture for. And then in his place was Stephen S. DeKnight, who this is his first blockbuster movie as director after writing and directing several television show episodes such as Daredevil and Smallville, and a lot of Showtime Spartacus shows. Just a fun fact.
Speaking of Steven and fun facts, we never actually mentioned my other fun fact,
Oh.
which isn't very important, but of the
I kept meaning to get to like a really high point and then jump down to that low point. But yeah.
wow, okay. Look, it's a fun fact. It's just, of the named characters introduced in Pacific Rim 1, over half of them die.
Oh wait, there's another fun fact I was looking over the previous one. In Pacific Rim 1, when they were trying to develop Jaegers and Kaijus, they developed like hundreds of them, and then each week they'd have an American Idol style contest within their development team of who would actually go forth and
I like that.
Conquer.
That's solid.
for sure. I did not see Newt turning. Like eventually all the pieces made sense.
Oh, it was so
but then
good.
I
That was
like,
such a good twist.
Oh yeah.
But like even the music, like the music wasn't as great as Pacific Rim 1, but
Okay.
like the music cues were so interesting because anytime you see Lee Wen, it's always ominous and
Mhm.
dark, and you're like, okay, evil corporate lady, bad guy, always wears white. Yep, of course.
Yeah. You're the
And
bad
then-
guy.
And then
Yeah.
the first time you see the hint that Newt's gone evil when he connects to his wife, it's
Did-
played as just a complete joke.
Yeah,
and
like
then
they
plays,
fucking play the
I
music.
want to know what love is. And it's like, okay, that's just Newt being Newt, goofy
Here's what
guy.
gets me. On my second viewing, like knowing that Newt was going to turn,
Mhm.
they have so many close-ups of Newt's face, like before they reveal it, and he's just so normal. Like there's
Mhm.
nothing weird with his eyes. He doesn't have any twitches or like he's just totally normal. He's being happy and quirky.
Yeah.
Like you know, not at all expect it.
Also, you mentioned, like, I didn't think about it at all until you mentioned that she always wears white.
Mhm.
Newt always wears black.
Huh.
Like,
That's nifty.
that's pretty solid.
Also talk about fashion. I probably never wear it, but whatever his name is, John Boyega's character. I forget
Finn.
his
He's
name.
very fashionable.
But
Not Finn. Yep.
Sure, not Finn.
Jake
Jake,
Pentecost.
that's it. Yeah, I knew it started with a J. Yeah, but Jake, that one, whatever. When Lambert goes up to him, he's like, "What are you wearing?" I was like, "What is he wearing?" And then saw whatever that fucking robe coat with coffee and espresso cups on it.
Oh,
It's
it's like pajamas.
huh? It's like that's pretty interesting. Never seen anything like it.
Oh, this is actual. This has got to be the actor's actual pajamas. Or
I
some
really
shit.
want them to
I
be.
don't know.
I love Lambert and Jake's relationship
Mm.
because I feel like just making them rivals would have been like the easy way out, but you can
Mhm.
tell they actually have like a relationship.
Mhm.
Like in that same scene, Lambert comes up and he's like, "Jake, this is serious. We got to do shit." And Jake's putting some fucking whipped cream, or he gets his whipped cream out, and then Lambert's just like, "Ice cream's on the top shelf," and he's like, "All right, thanks, mate." Like they're even though they're at odds with each other on this thing, like they grew up together, they train together, like they're still friends and they have a relationship. I really like
Also, they might
It's
be
more
a part of some
three-dimensional.
weird three-way relationship with the one lady.
Jules. Yeah, I kept
That was
expecting
confusing.
I kept expecting Lambert to just be like, holy fuck, Jake, we're dating, just call it a day. But then she kissed both of them, and I was like, what is Jules doing?
Wait, they were totally all in a relationship.
They all
'Cause
piloted a
no.
Jaeger, 3-person Jaeger, and now they're at
And then
Mine
when Jake was talking about Lambert to Mako and making fun of him, he's like, "Oh, I'm tough, I'm sexy, I'm handsome." And he's like, "He is sexy and handsome."
I feel like if Lambert and Jules were pilots who drifted together, it would make sense for Jules to kiss both. Or I guess if they, I don't know. The thing that confuses me
They
is
probably all drifted together because they were all cadets at one point. and
Jules is a mechanic, isn't he?
Maybe.
Because Jules is in
remember.
charge of fixing all the Jaegers, and then
Oh, okay.
Lambert or Jake makes Amara helper. But anyway, the thing that confuses me is that like Jake and Lambert drift, so
Yeah.
they're kind of sort of the same person.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
it would make sense for like both of them to like Jules because they're both the same person, but it doesn't make sense going the other way.
Or maybe she knew if she just kissed one of them, it'd fuck up the other.
Yeah.
So
That
she was
is
just like,
also
I
fair.
don't want to kiss you, but like, you're going to freak out if I don't, so...
That's like some next level plays though.
Mhm.
Like you're about to go try to save the world, and if I kiss one of you, it's gonna throw off your game. So I have to kiss both
So
of you.
I have to make it just super awkward and let you guys think about it.
Now they're both confused and they're more drift compatible. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
It's a 200 IQ play right there by Jules.
Fun fact, which is a little topical. James Gunn filmed a cameo as a DJ, but ended up being deleted from the finished movie. Gunn joked on Twitter that the scene was omitted so that his character could be saved for his own spin-off movie.
Pacific DJ.
Me?
Or it could just be DJ Rim, but I feel like
That'd be great.
that says some other things.
I feel like
It says
DJ
everything
Rim
you need to know.
exists already.
DJ Rim.
Despite being the hero of the film's predecessor, Raleigh Beckett is only mentioned once in the movie, and his fate remains unknown. And
Save
the
him.
actor never gave any reason for not wanting to. He just said, "Nope, I'm not going to."
Not going to for the second movie?
Mhm.
Huh.
Yeah, just
The
not-
plan, I don't know how Charlie Hunnam felt about it, but before the second one was even like cast or anything, Del Toro's plan was always for the characters from the first one to be gone from the second movie and to return in the third movie. I don't know if that's still the plan because, actors have their own ideas.
That'd be a
but
dope-ass plan, though.
Because
The
his-
third movie, they go into
The breach?
the Altiverse.
the Antiverse.
Antiverse.
Again, don't start me.
I'm really stretching my whatever temporal, spatial, differential. I don't know.
They go into that other city.
Yeah, it's just a different city. It all makes sense. But yeah, after the first one came out, Del Toro said his plan was the second movie would be like the second generation. The first movie people would be gone except for the scientists. And then in the third movie, the old generation and the new generation were together.
Mhm.
That was his original plan.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's like now.
That would be cool.
It would be cool. And Pacific Rim is all about being cool.
Yep. And then something I didn't write down, but about that, Guillermo del Toro was saying when he was first thinking of the plot of the second movie, he wanted the scientists to be bigger characters because he just had so much fun writing those characters and filming those scenes. He was like, yeah, I'm going to make them actual big characters now.
Such great moves.
So, did anyone else feel like Amara's age was mentioned early on purely because drifting is a very connected emotional thing, and they were like, how old are you? Definitely not a relationship happening here when we inevitably drift. I want that to be known.
Well, not all drifts are
That's
sexual relationships.
No.
every
There's-
male-female had a connection, like real strong type thing. Like, they might be together.
No,
Everyone shown was like that. I was like, "Ooh, I just
I'm
wanna
not
get
sure
this
I
out of the way."
necessarily agree, but I see what you're saying. And
Mhm.
I don't think that's not,
I feel like
Yeah.
as a movie,
you
because
know, like it certainly helps.
yeah, I feel like that line was there almost entirely for the sake of, I want it to be known they won't be interested in each other in this movie. They'll be close, they'll be friendly, it won't be a relationship thing. Get that out of your head right now.
I don't think... Well, because, like, the first movie didn't even end with that. Like, they never kissed. They just hugged. Which that could have been, like, a really close, oh my god, we almost died hug. Could have been a brotherly sister hug.
Raleigh did ask her out, though. It was just very roundabout way.
Yeah. I mean, like, they were obviously attracted to each other.
And then
And,
they
like, when he
drifted,
takes off
and
his-
then she saw that weird stuff that's been going in the back of his head for a while, and she's like, never mind.
I mean,
Oh, you're into that?
when Raleigh takes off his shirt, I don't think anyone's not attracted. But
I like his scars from when all the
Mhm.
ship, like his weird like techno scars. They look really cool. I don't know how else to describe them. You know, they're like straight,
Sure.
jagged lines,
Mhm.
which are two opposites.
Uh-huh. Very straight and jagged, as they say.
I can. They're almost like right angle. And there's like three of them in a row.
I actively don't remember the scar.
That's okay. I've seen the movie a lot. I remember what it looks like.
A couple of these fun facts that eventually I think delve more into fan theory than actual references, but it's the kaiju's long-running plan to get to Mount Fuji is a nod towards many decades of kaiju movies that involved monsters attacking Japan again and again, seemingly for no reason.
Okay, that
Mhm.
makes sense.
That long running plan plot point I was thinking about when I went to bed really pisses me.
What?
Because
Well, I mean, yeah, they went the opposite direction on half
Yeah.
of them, but
What about the fucking idiot kaiju that lands in San Francisco and like, I gotta get to Japan, let's go across
that's
the
what I'm
fucking
saying.
world.
Like, I don't. They heavily imply in the movie that the whole time all of the kaiju were going to Mount Fuji, and we don't know exactly where the breach was. Somebody might, if they could look it up, which I'm not saying you should.
I don't think they
Like
mentioned it.
like they don't mention
I mean,
it directly in the movies where the breach is.
in the middle of the Pacific Ocean.
Yeah, but no matter where in the Pacific Ocean the breach is, it's still faster to go to Japan by just going to
Mhm.
Japan than going around the world.
Well, it also might have been like
That could have
because
been like
there's
that.
a whole thing of them learning. Like they might have, I don't know, when Pangea was still around. That's when they first came to Earth.
Oh yeah, so they came during
So,
the
like,
dinosaur
Oh,
time.
that was also stupid. That angers
What?
me.
No, it's cool. I
There-
forgot about it.
It's
and then
it's
when
like
I saw
it's
it,
like a throwaway line that's meant to be like, "Ooh, there's so much lore here," but it doesn't actually make any sense.
What do you
What do
mean?
you mean?
Because
Like-
okay, so I guess we're going back to Pacific Rim 1 again.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, New Geisler, you know, after he drifts with the kaiju, he's like, they were here before. They tried again, but the atmosphere wasn't conducive. It was the dinosaurs, man. But we descended, like we've studied fossils for
Yeah.
many years, and we have a pretty good idea of like the tree of life on Earth.
Sure.
And there's absolutely no evidence that the dinosaurs were aliens.
Well, yeah.
And also, the dinosaurs were around for like 70 million years, and they were around 65 million years ago. Like, how old are these fucking precursors?
Pretty old,
It's
apparently.
super fucking old. Like,
It doesn't. It causes more inconsistencies
No, I get what you're saying. I'm with
than
you. Yeah.
cool ideas it has. Like, oh yeah, the dinosaurs were kaiju. That's cool, but it causes a lot of problems if you think about
I
it
think
logically.
we already. I think Seth said it specifically. Doesn't need to make sense. Pacific Rim's just about if it's cool.
Pacific Rim is only if it's
you-
about cool.
It's
Kaiju
a really
being
cool movie
descendants
if you
of
ignore the logic
dinosaurs.
of it.
Look, like I
Super
said,
cool.
I love it a lot. I can't help but think about it logically because, like, I watched the movie and it's like I've seen the movie enough times. I don't actually need to watch the movie. So when I am watching it, I'm just thinking about it more than I'm seeing it.
That's fair.
And that line pisses me off because, like I said, the dinosaurs were around for like 60 million. They've been gone for another 60 million. Like, what are these precursors fucking doing? How old are they? I mean, look,
no,
our
think about-
entire
think about a
civilization
dinosaur.
is
Think
like
about
5,000 years old.
Think about a dinosaur, just like normal, possible feathers, possible not, and then look at Knifehead, fucking glowing, literal a knife on his head, and then the next guy has an EMP blast. on
Also,
his
dinosaurs
tail.
weren't that big.
Yeah, so that's what
They were
they've been
super
doing.
small.
That's what they've been doing the last 60 million years. They've been making it all bigger and better, and giving it glowing blue lights.
I think the thing that really
And
triggers
acid
me.
blood.
No. The
ahead.
dinosaurs weren't kaiju. The precursors came when the dinosaurs were still on the Earth, and the atmosphere was not conducive to the precursors. But it was never explicitly mentioned that the dinosaurs were kaiju.
Well, okay,
If-
so it doesn't. It could be 50-50, but I believe his exact words are, "They tried it before. It was the dinosaurs, man."
Yeah, if he said that's what happened to the dinosaurs, makes sense if just like their nuclear explosion was just a kaiju popping out of the ocean and then saying, "Oh, I can't breathe," and then blowing up.
Like I said, if his exact words were, "They tried it before. It was the kaiju's, man." Like that doesn't prove either of us right.
Mhm.
Like it doesn't say, "Oh, he definitely didn't mean the dinosaurs were kaiju," or "He definitely did mean the dinosaurs were kaiju." But I would say with the wording and how he said it, it leans more towards the dinosaurs were made by the precursor than they tried to like
I didn't take it that way.
they
at
tried
all.
they tried to terraform before it was the dinosaurs.
Okay.
does that lean more towards their terraforming effort was dinosaurs, or they were terraforming and dinosaurs were there?
I don't know the exact wording of what was said. I'll honestly say that.
It's pretty close to that. He
Because-
didn't say that's what happened to the dinosaurs. He said that was the dinosaurs.
I took it as it was in the dinosaur time frame, and the atmosphere just wasn't right.
But that doesn't. Okay, I'm not trying to just be argumentative or anything, but like if what he meant was the last time they tried to terraform was during the age of dinosaurs, then why wouldn't he say that? Like they tried it before. It was
during the dinosaurs.
It was.
That's what happened to the dinosaurs. He said it was. I don't know.
He said it was the dinosaurs.
Also, I really like even you said it was a throwaway line and it didn't need to be there and it was dumb. And we've been on it for like 5 minutes.
Yeah. I love this movie so much.
It's really good.
Maybe we should just do this again next month. Just
Why?
watch it again.
Why? Also, wouldn't they go to Yellowstone? Because look, I understand that they were like, oh yeah, Mount Fuji is going to ignite the whole ring of fire. But like, why not just go to Yellowstone, man? It's got to be easier.
Well,
Yellowstone's so close to erupting already. Like, you just fucking just flick it.
That wasn't as close to the breach, though.
It also doesn't have rare earth elements.
But
if
they blew up Yellowstone, which like I don't think we should get into the exact specifics, but I think we can agree roughly that blowing up Yellowstone would be easier than blowing up Mount Fuji.
Sure.
All they have, if they can just ignite Yellowstone, then we as a species, we're not entirely fucked, but that would definitely fuck us up and make blowing up Mount Fuji easier.
Also, they made a flying kaiju. Why the fuck did he bother fighting?
Because he was looking for Newt. He wasn't trying to get to Mount Fuji. He was looking for Newt.
Why didn't they send another one?
They only had 2 that time. They sent the crocodile.
That was the
one,
first time they'd ever had
sent
to.
The flying one.
No, that was Leatherback. It was the gorilla in the flying one.
Okay.
But that was the rate at which the kaiju come through the breach slowly increases. So I don't think it has anything to do with their production level of kaiju. I think it's how often they physically can open the breach.
Okay.
Because when Newt's drifting with the thing, he sees like hive pods with like 5 kaiju in a row, all next to each other, all writhing.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can produce kaiju at whatever speed they want. The problem, the bottleneck was literally the breach. Was they could only open it so quickly, and they had, the more they opened it, the easier it was, but they still had to wait to get more through.
Okay.
But an acid spit flying one, I agree, is probably not the best one to look for a person.
It was bad on them.
It was pretty good at fucking up Trino Alpha, though. Rest in peace, Kaidenaz.
Another fun fact for Uprising.
Back to what we're supposed to be talking about.
In the final battle between Kaijus and Jaegers, Unicorn Gundam statues and Anaheim Electronics names can be seen on that building.
I actually paused the movie last night when the statue of the Gundam, because I was looking, I just saw the statue and I was like, what Jaeger is that? And I backed it up and I was like, that's not a Jaeger. That's definitely a Gundam. Like, it's absolutely 100% a Gundam. That kind of pissed me off. Not because it's not cool, but because, why would you have a statue of a Gundam in a world where you actually have giant robots?
I guess depends on which one when that was built. So
I mean,
maybe they built.
Do we have any statues of Gundams now?
Yes, like that's a real statue that exists in real life. Yes.
Wow, I want to go there.
Yeah, I've been
That's cool.
I've been to the other one that was the original Gundam.
Because that was in Japan, so I guess it makes more sense than for so much of the first one was in Hong Kong. I just kind of assumed it was in Hong Kong, but I realized that is in Japan.
No, yeah, that was just like a real place that I don't know if I'm sure they filmed at a little bit, but they didn't do anything extra to, I'm sure.
I would still tear down that statue and put a fucking Jaeger statue.
No, but
you have to reach a certain point.
It's the granddaddies. You gotta show respect to the granddaddies.
You have to reach a certain point where real life is bigger than the fictional, like oh yeah, we have these giant robots. No, we have literal giant robots.
But Unicorn Gundam looks dope as shit. So
agreed. You're not wrong there. It was a cool looking Gundam.
It's got a spike on its head that when it goes into burst mode, it spikes open and forms the V crest that most Gundams.
Okay.
And then his armor all opens up and it has like glowing red veins.
When are we doing Gundam?
Oh, we should do Gundam.
We should absolutely do Gundam.
I
haven't watched Gundam in so long.
Have you seen
There are
Gundam Build
few
Fighters?
really good Gundams.
Gundam Build Fighters might be the best of all Gundam.
I'm really down the rabbit hole on this whole dinosaur thing.
Yeah, you just gotta. The Gundam that I watched when I was a kid was the one with erupting burning finger. I don't even know G Gundam. Okay, that's the Gundam that I want to watch. That was what I watched. Anyway, sorry, I was so bad at this.
Another fun fact, another referential thing that I think might just be whatever, fan theory, but I'm okay with it, and I'm going to consider it canon. The code name of the 3 kaijus combination seen on Newt's handheld tablet is Mega Kaiju. It refers to the combination of Power Ranger swords forming bipedal mecha Megazord.
You know, that's
fact.
No,
That's fact.
Also-
that's hardcore fact.
fucking Newt's
Hardcore
tablet
fact.
that just says Mega Kaiju deceased. I hate I hate that. And when Gottlieb, like he's like, oh, they're going to ignite Mount Fuji, and then he just throws up the simulation.
Mhm.
Like I hate that in sci-fi, just like any computer can do anything at any time. Like, oh yeah, these computers were meant to do a thing, but let me just play a simulation of the Ring of Fire igniting that I like. It takes a lot of time and specific software to build a simulation, and he just pressed a button and it was there.
Okay, so here's another issue I had with
It
Mega
looks
Kaiju.
cool, so who gives a shit if it makes sense?
I'm going back to the logic shit. Fucking, why didn't they take apart Mega Kaiju and have 3 kaijus once the other mechs were fucked? Then that whole plan of like dropping a thing on them would have fixed. It would have been a living one.
Another fun fact I didn't write down, but I was going to get to.
Okay.
The little bug things, I think they're called shredders, or
Okay.
something close to that.
They're not named in the movie.
Yeah, but it's something about ripping things apart, because it was literally attaching themselves to the kaiju, ripping apart the kaiju, and then stitching them back together in other parts. I don't
Okay.
think they could just separate again and become 3 new kaiju.
I was
again.
excited and
Never
disappointed by that.
I found the definitive resolution.
All right.
So in the movie novelization of it, Newt goes into further detail, and the dinosaurs were failed kaiju.
Okay.
All right.
Damn.
That's dumb.
It's
It's cool, but it's dumb.
Where are we at now?
Okay, so when the little bots came out and they started crawling up the
Oh my
kaiju,
God.
I was like, oh my god, kaiju with metal armor, this is so cool. And then they started ripping them apart and turned them into one kaiju, and I was like, that's not what I thought, but it's still so cool.
And then another thing related to the Shredders, Rippers, Stitchers, whatever. I think it's Stitchers.
No,
Shredder.
they were rippers.
No, they're Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle
Yeah,
enemies
I don't know.
that just all
Scrappers.
come out.
They're
That's another
rippers. They
team.
were fucking
Scrapper is
called
the thing.
rippers.
Were they?
Yes.
Okay.
He said rippers en route.
Okay.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I
There
knew
you
it was
go.
something
God
close.
damn it! I'm gonna.
Whatever.
All right, back down the rabbit.
But
Hunter, don't chase the rabbit.
I always chase the rabbit.
All right, well, I'm out of the conversation.
Yeah, they're called rippers.
Okay,
Confirmed.
Rippers.
All right,
Okay.
drift stabilized. Neural link, neural bridge holding.
Neural handshake.
Neural handshake.
yes.
Yeah.
Holding steady.
I like
Oh
that
yeah,
a
that's
lot.
another. Well, I'll get to the Rippers,
my
and then
God.
there's another
It's
fun
real
fact.
formal.
All right. So the Rippers, the director, whatever, Steven DeKnight, he had the idea of them ripping them apart and then putting them back together.
Mhm.
But he said he didn't know how to actually portray that's what they were doing in the film.
Uh-huh.
So that's why there's a bunch of fog and smoke at the time.
I thought the
He's like,
same thing.
He's like, I'm just going to cover it up, and then they're going to pop out, and that'll be fine.
When I was watching it last night, I was like, there's no way they could have actually animated that. That's why they covered it up.
Mhm.
Mm.
But then another thing about the neural handshake,
Yeah.
the motion that Gypsy Danger and eventually Gypsy Avenger do is well, I mean, no one else saw it but us. But they described it as a praying motion, but one hand is in a fist. It's a traditional karate,
Yeah.
how you start your matches. And so that was started with Raleigh and Yancey getting formally trained in karate. That's how they would start. That became their neural handshake.
Okay, it's nifty.
So to go back to like 5 minutes ago, Seth, you asked why the Mega Kaiju would not separate itself back into the 3 Kaiju once the other things were dealt with,
Yeah.
because otherwise that would stop Gypsy Avenger from... Okay, first off, the Mega Kaiju had no idea what Gypsy Avenger was.
Sure, but
Like-
like statistically, at that point, it would make sense to have 3 different things heading at it.
Well,
They want all the blood together because the blood
Yeah.
is the explosive substance.
I think
So
the
even-
goal
it would-
was just to jump in a volcano like a giant, cannonball.
Suicide, suicide
Yeah.
bomber.
Even
okay.
though the Jaeger were, as far as they could tell, all decommissioned, they still would not want to take the chance of only 2 of the kaiju making it to the volcano. Because,
I
like,
feel
say
like-
they did separate and then
Uh-huh.
Gypsy Avenger fucking rocketed and killed one of them. Even though it would still be a big boom, it wouldn't be the big boom that they wanted.
The
And it
extinction.
might not be enough to ignite the Ring of Fire, which is
I
bullshit
assume
anyway.
a singular one would be enough, right?
Because
Because like
They just wanted to like
'Cause that was their goal
definitively
from the
make
get-go,
sure.
get one in there.
I side with the kaiju here. I would stick them together because having one big tank make it to your destination is better than 3 Humvees maybe making it there.
Also, we go back.
Uh-huh.
Sure, 2 at the same time might have made 3. You know, one's playing defense. But you know what's cooler than that?
A Cat
3
13.
kaijus combining together to form Mega
Okay,
Kaiju.
It's not a category 13.
Yeah,
right?
4 plus 4 is 8 plus 5 is 13.
When they're going into the breach in Pacific Rim 1, the size difference between the category 5 and the category 4s
Yeah.
is huge.
Yeah.
The category 4s are like a little bit bigger than the Jaeger, and the Cat 5 is enormous. Way, way bigger than that.
Yeah.
The Mega Kaiju would probably still be a Cat 5, maybe a 6.
I'm pretty sure that D&D has an answer for us. What happens when you take 2 CR4s and a CR5 together? What's your new CR?
Oh my god.
Don't you just average it out?
That would just be like a 5, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I
Maybe,
think it'd be
maybe a
like-
6.
I think it'd be a 5, yeah.
Because CR is calculated by
Well, it's also about how many people you have.
the
the party.
CR is calculated.
It was a party of 4,
It's
so
party
it's,
of
it's
4.
average.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think it's a CR6, yeah.
Wait a minute, that gives me the
Oh my
fucking most
God.
amazing idea ever.
for a D&D campaign.
A Pacific Rim
It's
D&D
been done.
campaign.
Yeah, we
It's
did.
been
But
done
hold on, I'm sure it has.
by
Uh-huh.
us, by people in this room.
But 2 people controlling 1 Jaeger and being the drift, like simulating the drift, but
And they
between
have
2
to
people
make the decisions. Like, oh
together.
god, that
Yes,
would
it's
suck.
like the whole point.
Both
But
people roll
that-
a die
that
and you
wouldn't-
average every roll.
That wouldn't be fun because
What do you
you just
mean?
okay.
It's your shit. What do you mean?
Here's an
You
important
think it's
part of
fun?
Dungeons and Dragons. It's
Giant
called
hip-
player agency.
Yeah.
One of the most important parts of Dungeons and Dragons is player agency. Your players have to be able to make decisions that count or feel like they're making decisions that matters. If you take every player's agency and divide it between 2 players, even if they agree most of the time, there's still going to be times where they disagree.
Alright, fine. Maybe I like role playing more than you. I guess that's fine.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be cool in game.
No, it's
having
fine.
having 2 people at the table who have to 100% constantly compromise on what they want to do is going to be less fun for the players.
Yeah.
So that's when you create homebrew mechanics that give them
That
agency
make
within
the-
the situation.
Makes
Or
I'm-
Oh
Or-
yeah,
I'm
you know,
lost.
actually
You
improve the
retcon-
game. No, not at all.
No.
or you just give each of the players an relatively unimportant unnamed NPC to be their secondary partner.
Yeah.
That
Or
doesn't
have
make
one of
it-
them be able to power the
The shit-
by himself
yeah.
because he doesn't have a brain.
Exactly. Oh fuck! I don't have a brain. That's right.
Yeah.
All right. Last fun fact that has kind of been
The
like
funnest fact.
maybe touching back on a couple things we talked about before, but yeah, Pacific Rim Uprising is a springboard for a cinematic universe where tonight revealed if enough people show up to this. We've already talked about the plot of the 3rd movie and how the end of the 3rd movie would expand the universe to a Star Wars / Star Trek style franchise or series where you can go in many different directions. You can go main canon, you can go spin-offs, you can go one-offs. Yeah, that's the plan. Tonight also talked about the possibility of a crossover with the Monsterverse, as co-writer T.S. Nowlin is a member of its writers' room. And the Monsterverse is the thing that's going on now that's
Godzilla.
Godzilla, Skull Island, or King
King of
Kong
Monsters.
Skull Island, and now Godzilla, King of Monsters.
Can I just say?
That Godzilla, King of
Yes,
Monsters
please.
looks fucking amazing.
Well, but just the Pacific Rim extended universe. Yes, please.
Yes.
Everybody go watch Pacific Rim. Give them all of your money. Give us more movies, please.
Sure.
Thank you.
No, I'm with you. Yeah.
All right.
Really
Glad
enjoyable.
glad we all yep.
Alright, Steven, for Uprising, what was your dope ass shit?
All right, I've been thinking about this ever since the first dope ass shit. I knew exactly in my mind what it would be. So when Newt's betrayal is revealed, and him and Gottlieb and Lee Wen are talking, and Lee Wen's like, "How did you do this?" And Newt is like, "Are you kidding me? 38% of your production is automated. It was super easy to just do a little bit here and a little bit there and leave a little kaiju surprise for everyone." And then at that point, he switches into Mandarin and into the modulated voice and says, "It helps that you always thought you were the smartest person in the room." And just that moment where he's just Newt. He's like, "I did a little bit over here and a little bit over there and left a little kaiju surprise for everybody." And then he's just dark and scary and terrifying.
Do the Mandarin.
I can't.
Like I'm really
I'm more
glad
worried
your dope
about-
ass shit has a exact quote in it, like not a short one either. Like,
I'm more worried about not being able to do the modulation. But that is, it's so cool. Like I I rewatched it like 4 times last night. Like I just backed right back because it's such a cool moment. Like in a movie of giant monsters fighting giant robots, just a guy talking was I think the dopest part of it. It was very well done.
I also really like in that scene that she's about to shoot him.
And then she's like, "Soon I will be."
Yeah.
Yeah. That was going to be mine,
That
but
was a
it's
good one-liner.
too close to yours, so I wanted to throw that
No,
in
it's
also.
okay. Mine ends literally right where yours begins, so that's okay.
Hunter.
Mine, I 100% got that the Rippers were literally ripping apart the kaijus and putting them back and stitching them back together, and I thought that was the dopest ass shit ever.
It's some dope ass shit for sure.
Yeah, both of my dope ass shit is just how the biology of the kaiju and how awesome it is.
It is.
My backup dope ass shit was Scrapper falling out of the plane and rolling.
That was so cool.
It was
That
great.
was dope.
Also, the first time I saw it, he's running and then just does the Sonic roll.
Yeah.
He just crouches and then.
Scrapper was like the dopest Jaeger that's ever been made.
The
I
physics
think.
of Scrapper though,
If
she just
they-
rolls into a ball and then gains velocity
Momentum,
somehow.
yeah.
That was pretty cool and nonsensical.
If they expand on him, I feel like he could be like a combat medic.
Scrapper's a she.
Yes.
Okay, if they expand on her, then I feel like she could be a great combat medic. Just all right. Well, I'm here to fix things as a
I
scrapper
mean,
robot.
Lee Wen gives her the little fucking
The welding.
welding
Yeah.
torch, so,
That'd be so great.
that would be really cool actually.
I would love
That's
it.
probably like third movie. There's gonna
Scrapper's
be
not.
there's gonna be a
Different
team,
sized
yeah,
Jaegers. That'd be cool.
Or no, I was thinking just a team of scrappers that are going to be the rippers of the Jaeger.
Oh,
no!
fuck! What were the in Transformers the tiny bots that they would stick on
The
themselves?
mini-cons.
Yeah, the scrappers are just going to be the mini cons.
I'm not.
You gotta do it.
Nope, I'm not gonna
Come
fist
on.
bump you. It's
Yeah,
basically a high five. No.
Jaegers are going to have mini cons. It's going to be great.
It's gonna be
I'd be
dope.
down for that. As Steven's saying about the versatility, if your weapon can transform into other weapons, it's perfect.
No, they make like smaller Jaegers that combine to make bigger Jaegers instantly in the Power Rangers universe.
Checks out.
Actually, speaking of
Oh,
versatility,
that was another fun fact. Legendary was a company that I think produced something. Legendary Pictures was
yeah.
one of the makers, whatever, and they're also the people behind the new Power Rangers.
Nice.
That might be the only new Power Rangers movie.
Well, I hope not, because
I don't think they're making a sequel to that, but I think they're going to make more Power Rangers movies.
I hope they do.
I was surprisingly good. Like, never mind. We're not on Power Rangers. My bad.
Yeah.
I mean, we did
Different-
a whole
the
thing
next-
on
next
Gundam.
month.
We did a whole thing on dinosaurs.
I did a
Dinosaurs
whole
are
thing on
dope.
dinosaurs.
anyway, speaking of versatility on your weapons, given that it's like assuming the third movie happens, it's going to be the Jaegers going through the breach to fight the kaiju on their home turf.
Yeah.
Having your Jaegers or having smaller Jaegers that are able to modify your shit on the fly would actually be really important for that, because as the kaiju proved, going through a breach is not easy.
Mhm.
Especially like they were good at making breaches. We haven't made any breaches yet, so we're probably not going to be able to come back for support if shit happens.
Yeah.
So like you need an away team that can take care of themselves while they're on enemy turf. So having a bunch of like scrappers and minicons and shit that could modify your Jaegers on the fly would be dope.
Oh yeah, the precursors are 12 feet tall. If you didn't know,
Fun
Yeah.
fact.
they're fucking huge.
I don't know. Like, you see what they're sending out though?
Yeah, like,
Oh my god, they're huge!
sweet.
Billy, what's your dope ass shit?
Okay, I wasn't sure. So yours was just
It was
Scrapper.
a Scrapper running
okay.
out like he did.
Okay, yeah.
I was like, oh, he's back.
mine.
Jeez.
I want to do something different, but it's cool enough. I like that the movie ended on a kaiju versus mech fight.
Yeah.
But when whatever Newt finally hatched his whole plan, and then they landed all of the drones, and then the drones turned into half kaiju, half mech, and then like hunched down, like had like insects mouths or
Yeah, they had
whatever.
mandibles. It's so cool.
Just that whole scene, my dope ass shit.
Okay.
I want to say something about the because I usually don't watch trailers, but I did happen to see the trailer for this movie,
Mhm.
and one thing I remember from it was Charlie Day going Plan B, always a Plan B. It gives nothing. It's like it's such a funny moment in the movie, but it gives nothing away in the trailer.
Mhm.
It's such a good trailer.
They did a really good job of not spoiling the entire movie in
Yeah.
the trailers. Because like basically all they showed was the 4v3
Yeah,
Kaiju
that's what I
and
thought it was going to
Jaeger
be.
fight.
And then the whole
Everything.
that Newt did, I was like, oh!
It was a really well done movie. I would say.
But I don't think many people super liked it. But
Because they're dumb.
Had like a 43 on Rotten
yeah,
Tomatoes.
it was something real bad.
What?
Mhm.
It wasn't even that bad. Like
But then,
I feel like the world is just conspiring against giving me more Pacific Rim,
yes,
and it really
for
hurts
sure.
my
I
feelings.
would say it's a whole attack on Tokusatsu entirely. But
Of course you would.
Attack on Tokusatsu.
It still did very very well at the box office. So we're
I
bound
think
to get more.
it was
content.
something I remember reading. But it got, for the year it was in, it was one of the top grossing movies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Compared to stuff that was or came out the same years, like some of the Star Wars movies and stuff.
Well, Star Wars is kind of going downhill, Billy.
What?
Sure,
Going downhill.
sure.
Rogue One's a great movie though.
So was The Last Jedi.
The Last Jedi was fucking amazing.
Oh, I'm
Yes.
not Tim, so
I don't want to insult Hunter or Steven. I don't know how he feels about it. but
I love
thought-
The Last Jedi.
Okay,
I
no,
thought it
no.
was great.
Yeah, I was saying I don't like Rogue One, but
Well, I also loved Rogue One.
all right. Yeah. So just we did dope ass shit. Final thoughts, Steven. Final thoughts on Uprising, and then if you want, we can go into final thoughts of the series so far.
Just me one after another.
Sure, let's do that.
Okay. Pretty much, like I said before, Pacific Rim Uprising, still a great movie, and I loved it, and I'm glad they didn't ruin it, because Pacific Rim 1 has a very important place in my heart, and they did pretty good. They had giant robots fighting giant monsters. They had cool lore, which I love. They had some sci-fi shit with their little VTOL jet helicopter things, but weren't actually helicopters. It was a good movie.
VTOL. I guess depending on how you consider it, that's just like either landing.
I mean,
piloting.
you can't call them a VTOL because it's just vertical
how I've-
takeoff and landing is just
Vehicle.
a description of it.
VTOL vehicle. That's how I've always heard. I've never heard of VTOL helicopter.
Well, my point was that it's not actually a helicopter because it doesn't have rotors. But
Okay.
and the series as a whole makes me warm and fuzzy inside, and I want more of it forever. That me.
All right,
That's fair.
Hunter.
I want to see a lot more Jaegers. I just want to see a lot of Jaegers and a lot of kaiju.
I'm sure they have like concept books out or something that have like all of them.
Yeah, no,
we
but
want them all on screen.
in fighting.
I mean,
yes.
yeah, that'd be cool.
I want
too,
like
but,
I want like the
like a
event.
10
one's a little more
Dude,
reasonable than the other.
Yes, 10v10. That's my final thoughts. I want more. I just want more.
Final thoughts is 10v10. Do it.
I guess my final thoughts are, if they end up making the third movie, right?
You mean when they end up making the third movie?
So if they end up making the third movie, I really, really hope that it doesn't just add more inconsistencies to the series.
I mean, it will.
Oh, for sure.
Give it back to Del Toro.
Yeah.
Let him take care of his baby.
hmm
I mean, he did Shape of Water.
Yeah, he was like, I'm gonna put this on hold and go do this, and I haven't seen it, but I heard it's amazing.
I mean, it won an Academy Award for Best Picture.
No, but like I don't care about awards, like.
All right.
But I'm just saying that like I've heard very good things about
Yeah,
it.
well, Pacific Rim got Best in Show in my heart.
They did win a lot of special effects awards. The
They
first one
should
did.
have.
I don't
was
think the
awesome.
second one did. Final thoughts of Uprising. I could tell it was made by like a different team for the most part. Like just like the cinematography wasn't that. I don't know. I guess
It was different.
Pacific Rim kind of like in a couple shots like kind of reveled in itself. Where
Oh,
it's like,
yeah.
you've never seen a mech like this at a screen like this. And at the time, you're like, no, I haven't. Keep giving me more.
You're right.
And then, yeah, and the plot of it seemed a lot more like a anime compilation. Like, this would have been the Boruto to Pacific Rim as Naruto or whatever. Like, that kind of weird sequel series based on someone else's son. But then they kind of, like, smashed the whole thing together to create the story for a movie instead of a series.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah.
I feel like Uprising had, like, I can't say for sure it did, but it felt like it had more improv in it. Like, a lot of John Boyega's lines just felt like he, in the moment, was like, I'm gonna say some funny shit right now. And it was funny.
I think, I remember reading somewhere that Guillermo del Toro doesn't, like, improv for the most part. He said he's hands-on and goes over 100% of the movie at least at some point. And
Damn.
then so when someone improvs, he's like, Probably not. Just maybe stick to the script. But then the other director, that's his first time doing a major motion picture against a couple really big name people. He's probably got bullied a little bit more. But then
So yeah, sure, yeah, you can say
John
that.
Boyega's confirmed a bully.
there's actually a story I have. I won't tell it on here, but one of the YouTube personalities I follow has a bad story about John Boyega.
I have a great story about Daisy Ridley. Nothing.
And on that note,
Alright, yeah, so, Steven, the living community segment for everything, thanks for being here.
I am alive,
We enjoyed you.
and I was here for a whole segment.
Community or otherwise.
Tim hasn't seen Pacific Rim Uprising, so can't do that.
Sure.
Next time.
I could give you my sister's community segment for Pacific of blah, blah, blah.
Go ahead. Yeah,
She thought it was cool. She liked it.
Baller.
cool.
She didn't think it was as good as the first.
I mean, it wasn't.
I don't know.
I mean, it had cooler ideas, but, only developed on, I don't know. I like the first. Alright, so next month, we're gonna, or not next month, we're gonna do something a little bit special, like we were teasing last episode. I don't think anyone guessed what we're reviewing, or talking about. Not really reviewing, but, we're gonna do the first 3 seasons of Samurai Jack, but in 2 weeks instead of a month. And then the 2 weeks after that, we're going to do seasons 4 and 5 of Samurai Jack. So still a whole month of Samurai Jack, but not 60 episodes all in the same time that we need to talk about. We're going to break it up into chunks.
Because there's going to be a lot to talk about.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably.
It's a real silent show. It's like, isn't it cool when he didn't say anything but drew his sword?
oh fuck yeah!
Wait, which episode?
My favorite part was when he drew out his sword, but he didn't say anything. Yeah.
What was your dope ass shit when he pulled out a sword? Yeah. That one time.
No, mine's this not saying anything bit. No, mine's the one time he talked.
I like when he was reaching his hand down to grab the sword. I feel like it was a really poignant moment.
It's a great show, though.
Alright, so yeah, tell us what your dope ass shit for any of the Pacific Rims was, and then tell us on Twitter, talk to us on YouTube, our
Join our Discord.
Yeah, Discord chat. We
Yeah.
have that now.
There's a link there. It's like all of our videos.
Yep.
Click on it.
Cool.
Click on it.
Go down to the description.
And then-
Everything's there.
Yeah.
It's all there.
Yeah, tell us what you thought within 2 weeks of the first 3 Samurai Jacks.
Click on it.
Or, just tell us what you thought of Samurai Jack, and we'll distill it down. Because we're going to get a lot of people telling us what we're going to do. So we're going to have to set up filters and everything.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Curated
Alright.
content
So,
is all it is.
what's the good stuff about Pacific
Hmm?
Rim? What's the good thing?
Or no, our final?
Click on it.
Yeah,
Our final? You know what? I got it.
you got
You
it.
got it?
Mhm.
I had an
I
idea.
got it.
But let's...
I gotta get in the mood.
All right.
Steven, I'm gonna need your help.
I have no idea what's going on.
You'll
hold
know
on, I
the
know
very
exactly
first
what it
second.
is.
You'll know the very first
Music?
second I do it.
Is Steven doing music? Is that why you
What?
said you... Yeah, carry on. Fuck it.
You're supposed to also.
I thought you were going to go through a full measure, and then I
No.
would join in.
No, it's just supposed to be for a second.